So Chris, science.
Science, what about it?
There's a lot of science. Science is everywhere, isn't it?
Science is real.
Science is real. It's everywhere. We live and breathe it every day. There's just so much science.
Just chock-a-block full of science from the tops of our heads to the tippy tips of our toes.
Just we are just whole chunks of science.
Yeah,
just melding into one science-y mold in this science-y world.
Yep. There sure is a lot of science.
There's so much science. Welcome to Creature Crunch, the show where we take a monster, we do some science at it, and then we crunch into it and mutate it into something resembling a fightable monster or companionable monster in D&D 5th edition. My name is Matt.
And I'm Science.
And we're watching a movie.
Yeah.
We watched a movie this week.
This was an interesting one.
Yeah. I think it's safe to say that the two of us went into this one 100% blind.
Not 100%.
Maybe 99.9%.
Because like I mentioned at the end of the last episode, I saw this recommended by Trevor Henderson, a.k.a. Slimy Swamp Ghost on Twitter, who's the creator of Siren Head, Long Horse, and a bunch of like really awesome monsters, and also just a really cool guy in general. Mm-hmm. And he does a lot of movie recs for movies that are maybe not as well known as other movies. And he posted up a bunch of monster pics from this movie, and I was like, holy shit, this is right up our alley. This is
right. Yeah, you tweeted me at me with them, and it was I saw some of these designs. It's like, wow, those are really cool creature designs, some cool special effects, and he had that same kind of comment on it.
Yeah.
So,
and he said that the movie is very reminiscent of the first couple of Resident Evil games, and yeah, I can definitely see that.
I could definitely see that. Yeah,
especially the first one.
So, I mean, that's pretty much all the information we had going in. So, I definitely didn't know what to expect.
Me neither. Like
if this movie had been made in the late aughts or now at times, I probably would have had something like I would have had a better anticipation of what I was going to get into. But because this movie was made in it came out in 1991. So I mean,
this was it was a weirdo. This was a weirdo.
It was, and of course we are talking about the 1991 straight to video sci-fi monster movie. Metamorphosis, the Alien Factor.
Yep.
So Chris, why don't what even is this movie, Chris? What happened here? What's going on?
Well, this was directed by Glenn Takajian, who directed nothing before this and exactly 2 movies after it, and then vanished into being a supporting role actor in various TV shows, most of which I haven't heard of.
All right.
Other than like a couple roles on Rizzoli and Isles, which I never watched, but I have heard of. And I think he was a character on Bones for one episode. He's one of those supporting actors whose characters do get names, but then they don't never appear on the show again.
But so like, what did we think about this movie? Like what?
There's a good movie in there. I'm going to say that. There's a good movie in there. And if you can find like a supercut on YouTube of like the monster scenes, that's very much worth watching, I think. Because the special effects are worth looking into. Like there's some impressive miniature work.
A lot of really cool miniature work.
Yeah.
A lot of cool like stop motion.
Right.
And the practical effects in this movie are unimpeachable. Like I was impressed. Like they're gooey, they're gross.
They're very gooey. There's a lot of goop in this movie.
Yeah, they're also very visceral and convincing.
And the main creature is very unlike anything I've seen before.
Right.
And like the going back to the Resident Evil thing, like I can guarantee that the creators of Resident Evil saw this movie. I can guarantee it just from like the plot standpoint where it's like there's some bizarre alien tissue that grafts itself to animal matter, and then it mutates the animals into horrifying monsters. And that's very Resident Evil, where it's like most of the monsters are humans or other things that have been mutated by a virus or something like that, or a parasite or whatever.
Yeah, I can definitely see the shades.
The thing
is, that's the only good thing I could say about this movie.
Yeah, the characters are beyond terrible.
They're bad. They're poorly written. The dialogue is bad.
The character
the acting is bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
especially like
and not maybe
the
bad.
teens.
The teens are really bad. It's bad is not the right word.
Yeah,
wooden, I think, is the right word.
Yeah.
Very stiff and wooden.
Yeah.
So it's not like cringy, like haha bad. It's just kind of like, okay, you guys are just reading lines.
Yeah, which is why I definitely recommend like seeking out a supercut of this. The movie is available on Vudu at the moment, which is, I have to say, probably the most pain in the ass streaming service we've watched something on.
Dang, that was a rough one.
Yeah. I think it's still important to know, because that's the only place you can find this movie, unless you want to buy the DVD off of Amazon, which I think is actually rather accessible at the moment. You can.
That's wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you said, I definitely, a supercut would be good. Just the monster bits are really good. I actually really dug the flashback sequences, even though they were kind of, they didn't feel like flashbacks so much as but I don't know. We'll talk about that.
It definitely would have helped if they would have had all of the flashbacks as one scene. Instead of cutting it like multiple times, then flashing back to other places, and
I don't know. It felt weird, but it didn't bother me any. But I did enjoy those scenes, and the all of the scenes with the monsters were really good.
Definitely.
But so yeah, I would say that I wouldn't be too concerned about the spoilers of this movie.
No,
though there will be spoilers as always.
If you do want to watch this and a supercut is not available, because I haven't actually looked into if that's available or not. And you want to watch it, skip pretty much all of the scenes with Kim and Sherry.
Yeah, they're pretty unnecessary.
And Brian.
Yeah.
Don't ever watch them, because they're really bad. The stuff with the scientists isn't too terrible for the most part, except when they're talking in the wood panel office.
Yeah, that's kind of rough.
That's completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
But like, watch all the flashbacks and all the scenes of the monster running amok.
Yeah.
And that's what you need.
And you got a good movie.
In the end.
Or you got an entertaining movie. So,
and I mean that it's a short movie. It's 98 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty short.
That's pretty trim. It feels longer in a lot of places because there's a lot of people talking in wood panel rooms.
I don't know. I can't comment on how long a movie feels these days, just because
you have to watch them in chunks.
It literally takes me all day to watch through a movie, even this one. So,
because you're on babysitter duty.
Yeah, and just everything conspires against me. Like this time, I waited a little bit later in the day to see, like, okay, maybe the kids are too wound up in the morning,
right?
Whatever, and they didn't bother me for the most part. And then I was just like, okay, finally, I'm going to start watching it. And then it was immediately one after another.
Yeah.
And then finally, when they went home, I went shopping and came home, sat down to watch the movie, and then within 5 minutes got 3 different phone calls. It was like, oh my god! But
it was really funny because, like, we share a document that we take our notes in. And you had started yours before, and you got down to a specific part in the movie. And I watched it, I'm like, that's how it ends? That's weird! Because, like, you had finished there and hadn't done anything else.
Yeah, for hours.
For hours. And, like, weirdly enough, we tend to watch the movie at the exact same time and try and take notes over each other.
Roughly.
So, like, I got down to... I started watching it, I'm taking my notes, and I got to that scene, I'm like, holy shit, that's only like halfway through this movie. What the hell? what happened?
Yep.
Did Matt have a stroke? Do I need to go over there?
But, so yeah, Chris, you talked about the director.
Yeah, the director, yep.
So any other notes about this movie before we jump into the
there's
synopsis?
A few interesting things here. The most noteworthy actor in the movie is George Gerard, who plays Michael Foster, the man who would be Monster.
Okay.
And he's got a boatload of TV credits in minor supporting roles again. He's still working today. He was working as of last year, so he's still in this.
Good for him.
No one else in the movie did anything besides this movie, I don't believe. Which is...
I believe it.
Yeah.
None of these people have acting chops.
Yeah.
Except for maybe George Gerard. But...
Yeah, like, he was fine for what he did. He's just unfortunately not in the movie very much.
No, not in any acting capacity.
Right. Checker the Melty Dog was played by the Great Boker Dog. I have no idea what's up with that. That was just... I saw that listed and I'm like, okay, cool. That's nice.
Wait, is that implying that's an actual dog in makeup?
Yeah, I believe so.
I'm gonna have to rewatch parts of that because if that's the case, I feel really bad for that dog.
Yeah,
that looked like an animatronic to me.
I thought it was a puppet of some kind or something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the earlier scenes when it's in a cage and you don't really see it. Like, that's what they're talking about. I don't know. This movie started in development as a sequel to The Deadly Spawn.
I am not familiar with that one.
It's a movie we'll get to at some point. It's another fun,
okay,
like sci-fi movie.
Sure.
A little bit. I think it's a little bit better than this one, but
okay,
it's along the same lines. But the plot kind of spun off into its own thing, and from there on, it was developed as a standalone movie instead of a sequel.
Okay, I mean, it kind of explains a little bit of the. Okay, go on.
Production on it started in 1987, and it finished shooting fairly quick. But different problems in later production, like prevented it from actually coming out into theaters. It missed its release date, so it just kind of got farted onto video in 1991. Which is why it's kind of a obscure movie.
Okay.
Like,
I mean, that's probably one of the reasons, sure.
Yeah, definitely. But I think if this had a wider release, I think it would be a cult movie. I could see that.
I could see that, too.
Like, not a big one, but I could see this along the lines of, like, The Deadly Spawn or Squirm or something like that. Like,
sure.
Just another Midnight Monster movie.
I could see that. I mean, the special the effects in this movie are really good.
Yeah,
surprisingly so. So I could see that. I could see this getting a traction in that way.
So, but since it got such a minor release, it's kind of unknown in a lot of ways. There's not a lot of information about this movie. The people just kind of vanished. It's a strange movie, but it's what we got.
All right. So if there's nothing else, then let's go ahead.
Let's
dive into this little thing.
Yeah, this thing that is not the thing because we haven't done the thing yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so we open on our credits in a starfield. Looks like we're going through hyperspace at the slow setting.
Windows 98 screensaver.
Yeah. A moon drops down from the top, and we find out that is our moon.
That was no moon. That was a matte painting.
Yeah. Thanks for painting that, Matt. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Yeah. I'm very proud of it. I don't remember doing it.
Okay. And the credits end, and we open on the Talos Corporation. Not Talos, Talos. They are very specific on pronouncing
Talos,
that.
Yep.
Which bugged me.
It did.
I had some problems with some of the pronunciations in this movie.
I can't imagine why, Chris.
Yeah. We have a security guard who is receiving a Code 3 in Sector Amber. There's a lot of, like, red alert stuff going on in the background.
The computer, I mean, to be fair, it was so, like, it was sciencey jargon. Not even sciencey.
It wasn't science jargon.
It was like technical jargon that the computer was spouting. But it had gotten to the point where it went full circle, where it was so unbelievable and so, like, nonsensical that it came around and was just like, no, that's totally makes sense. Like, I don't know what it's saying, but clearly these
there's
people
a lot of scenes like that in this movie where they just barf so much jargon at you that your brain kind of whites out.
Yeah, it just shuts off and it's just like, sure,
go for it, man. I got you.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Anomaly alert status. Gen Lab 4, Level 9. Sector Amber 11, please investigate. Sector Amber 11, please investigate. Camera A7LLL, Sector Amber 11, remote zoom in. Condition 3, anomaly alert status, Sector Amber 11. Warning, you are entering a Condition 3 anomaly status area. Please use caution. All biological systems functioning within acceptable zeta parameters.
Like, I started trying to take notes about some of the science later on, and eventually it just evolved into, they do the science at the science for science.
I saw that. It was pretty funny.
And because that's all it is. Like, it means nothing.
Yeah, they take real science words, and then they just start smashing them together.
Yeah.
And then, but again, it goes full circle. They do it so much that it's like...
Yeah, they overload you. They
whatever.
overload you, and your brain short circuits.
Yeah, no, props to the movie for that. Yeah. Like, I have to say.
Yeah.
So...
But anyway, our security guard goes to check out whatever this anomaly is.
And the door is having a problem.
The door's having issues, yeah.
He goes to this door, and it's like trying to open over and over again. It's one of those sci-fi doors that
it's
slides.
A whoosh door.
Yeah, it's a whoosh door, and it's just... It's like, what is it? Is it supposed to be in lockdown? Is it supposed to try to open? I don't understand what this door's problem is.
Yeah. We find out that there are heavy bacterial contaminants. There's a bunch of goo on the floor.
I thought it was blood, but I guess I could be wrong.
It might be blood. It's goopy.
Yeah.
The guard can't get into the door because it's having its issues. He uses his super special code and the door doesn't open.
Yeah.
He's having some serious problems. A bloody scientist bursts out of the door and dies at him.
Yeah. That's a good explanation as to what happened.
And our security guard says, "Oh no, Elliot."
Oh my god,
Elliot. So apparently this dead scientist is Elliot.
He has a name.
Yeah, he has a name. We don't know the security guard's name yet.
No. We know nothing yet.
We know nothing yet.
Other than the Talos Corporation.
The Talos Corporation, and there's goop and blood, and
Talos
a dead scientist named
Corporation
Elliot.
And like Omega Sector problems, contamination, bacterial infectant.
The PA continues to scream at us about all of the different science that's going awry.
There is so much information that this computer, the PA is trying to get across.
This was the first part where my brain was just like, yep,
turned
off.
That's noise.
And then out of nowhere, the guard is impaled by a tentacle and eaten.
Yeah, yeah. And you get a quick flash of like this weird mouth. That. Oh man, it's
hard to describe.
It is super hard to describe.
Like here's where the only way I can describe it. You know, in Beetlejuice, when the husband turns into makes his scary face, and does the jaw thing.
Yep,
it's that with pointy teeth.
Yep. No, absolutely. So my daughter Sonia walked down and she watched a part of this with me. She really didn't like it when the dude was laying in the bed and he had all of the makeup and stuff on him, and it's somewhat human-esque looking. Yeah, she hated those.
Well, that's creepy.
It is, but when it's the full monster, there's enough of a separation to be science fiction. And she really got into this, but she kept calling it a worm.
Yeah,
which is, I mean, that neck is.
It's got a wormy.
Like from Beetlejuice.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it called to my mind as well.
Yeah,
but like it's enough to intrigue you because once you see this, you're like. Okay, go on.
What the hell was that?
Carry on, movie. You grabbed my attention.
Yeah. Our poor security guard takes longer to die than you'd think, having been eaten.
Yeah, I even have my notes. Like, he's not dead yet? How is he not
dead?
That's
a recurring theme in this. Like...
No, reading through your notes after this, after I'd watched it, was a delight, by the way. And then we...
Yeah.
Go on.
We get to...
You're in charge of this.
Yeah. We cut to a household, a late 80s household.
There's some awkward sex happening.
And then we find out it's not actually awkward sex, it's awkward makeout.
It is awkward sex, but it's more awkward and a lot less sex.
Yeah, because they are both fully clothed.
They're fully clothed. They're just smashing each other, smashing into each other.
Like, you know how when you're a kid... and you have action figures, and you want them to fight, so you just kind of ram them into each other.
That's such an accurate...
Yeah, they just kind of bounce off of each other, and you're like, Skeletor, I am a Ninja Turtle! Pow, pow, pow! That's what's happening with these two individuals, and that's how we're introduced to two of our main characters.
Oh, man. But yeah, and it's just it's so awkward, and then he pulls off, and it's like this dude is like this is for all intents and purposes the 80s.
Oh yeah.
and this dude gets off of her, and my first thought was, what nerd.
He's such a dork, and he doesn't shed that moniker for the rest of the movie. He's
he gets off as like, wow, that is not what I expected to be thrusting himself against this poor girl.
Maybe that's why he was having such problems, because he's an 80s nerd.
Oh man, it got me. It was funny. Anyway.
Yeah, well, this is Sherry and Brian.
Sure it is.
Yeah, good for them. Sherry's sister Kim interrupts them, and she is the 80s.
Oh yeah, she is the 80s. Is so 80s. She took all of the 80s and then like passed out a little bits to everybody else in the movie, but she hoarded most of it for herself.
She really did. We find out that Kim has been out with a delinquent who doesn't appear in this movie. Not appearing in this film.
Information that is irrelevant to anything at all. Yeah. So much so I forgot completely about it.
Yeah. The two sisters fight because it's kind of implied that their mom has passed away or is out of the picture in some way.
Yeah, and that like at first, like they mentioned their dad. Yeah. As in the present tense, like dad is still alive. But then as the scene went on, I started second guessing that. It's just like they're talking like the older sister is the
parental figure. Yeah.
I mean, and I suppose that's still kind of implied.
Right.
But it turns out that the dad isn't like the deadbeat. Like
no, he's actually a pretty decent guy.
Yeah,
from all...
so I don't know. It was it's. But there's a lot of information that you read between the lines.
Yeah, which
literally through between the lines because it's not in the performances.
Yeah. If we had decent actors and a little better of a script, I think it would be better. But like we can actually infer some information about this family just from this scene, which is impressive for us. Go us.
Us as in you and me, or us as in the movie-going audience?
No, us.
Okay.
We're impressive, Matt. Don't let anybody tell us otherwise.
I don't.
Yeah. Okay, we jump back to Talos. There is running.
Yeah.
From a scientist and a man in a suit. We don't get their names for a while.
Okay, well, but when we do, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But I didn't get a good look at the suit until they're in the room. And as soon as it shows him from a distance, I swear to God, I thought it was Christopher Walken. I swear to God.
See, I thought it was Dennis Hopper from Super Mario Brothers the movie because he looks like King Koopa.
Yeah,
he's got the same hair.
Very much. Well, yeah, it's that like super. It's slicked back and meant to look slimy. Like he's meant to look like the slimy CEO.
And he's got a implaceable accent.
Oh my gosh! But like, he's just has that like look about him that it just communicated to me as Christopher Walken.
Yeah,
but he's not Christopher Walken.
No, he's not.
So
this movie would be so much better if it was Christopher Walken.
It really, really would.
Like he could play the hell out of that role.
Oh, that would have been so good.
Yeah. He like that is a role that he would have been amazing.
We need to recast this movie ASAP.
Yeah. I could see a remake of this being really good.
It could be fun. It could be a lot of fun. So we've got not Christopher Walken, as I've dubbed him, Jonathan Sitton. And they're in this. They're looking for this. They're looking like they keep referring to the monster as he.
Yeah, except for Suit, who just refers to it as it.
Yeah, but the doctor
is very like adamant that it's a he.
Yeah. So and they show the scene too, and it's a messy room.
It's pretty bad. We got rats on the loose. The door has been jacked open now, so whatever was in there is no longer in there.
Yep.
The security guard is completely ate at this point.
He's just a mass of pulp.
Yeah, basically. Like
again, good effects.
Good effects.
You see that gore and you're like, ooh, yep, that's a man who was mauled by whatever the hell that thing was.
Yep.
So
the man in the suit calls Mitchell and Jarrett to help him, so we have two names for characters who are not in this scene.
So I didn't catch their names, so
they don't matter. They're Goon 1 and Goon 2.
Yeah, no, Goon 1, absolutely. That's kind of how I refer to them.
Yeah,
but
we cut back to Kim and Sherry. We find out that their dad is missing. That's all we get out of that scene, and then we hurtle back to Suit and Scientist in their wood panel room.
Okay, so you know what? I actually caught something that I thought was just a low budgetary mistake.
Okay,
that fixes the movie opens. When you first see the security guard, it has a close-up of his coffee cup.
Yeah.
And he takes his drink from it. And in this scene, it shows what's her face, older sister,
Sherry.
It shows Sherry washing that exact cup, and I thought at first I was just like, oh, look at that, they couldn't even afford different looking cups, until I realized later on in the movie that no, that's their dad. Oh my god, that was actually intentional.
Yeah.
Holy
that's
shit.
foreshadowing, motherfucker.
Like, that was like,
there is some talent here. Like there is some talent. Not much, and it's in weird places. But
this scene actually held a little bit of purpose. In visual storytelling.
See, I didn't catch that until I read your notes, and then I was like, okay, wow.
Yeah, like, wild. But
yeah. Speaking of the coffee cup, by the way, weirdly enough, on IMDb, the only goof in the movie, other than that it's a flawless movie, the only goof in the movie is that in that opening scene where a security guard is drinking from the coffee cup, you can see a reflection of the camera in the cup. Other than that, flawless movie.
It just completely broke the immersion in that first scene. Oh, man.
So we're back in the wood panel room with Suit and Scientist, which is not a sitcom on ABC, but probably should be. Someone has changed, but the scientist thinks she can get him back to normal because they are going to science at it.
Yep.
We find out that the creature is named Michael Foster, so now we have a name for two characters who are not in the scene yet, and the monster, but not these two talking. They have not referred to each other by name yet. The subtitles were of no help until just a little bit in the future here. They were apparently working on highly illegal tests, and at this point they're both kind of afraid of getting caught, but scientist wants to get Michael back to normal. Our scientist was in a relationship with Michael Foster, the man who would be monster, and we find out her name is Dr. Nancy Kane, which, cool. There we go, we finally have a name. I think I caught that from the subtitles more than anything. I did notice that our suit friend has a rat in a tube on his desk.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's one of the rats from the science room, and it's just in like a little flippy tube thing, and it's just like running back and forth in there for a little bit. And then it vanishes at one point.
Yeah, okay.
So whatever. Talos has acquired alien tissue samples from somewhere they probably mentioned. I spaced out.
They said it was sent to them. I don't remember who sent it to them. But the lines in the dialogue imply or straight up say that whoever sent them to him was like, this is alien data, this is alien samples.
Yeah.
And they started, I think it was the military.
Was it military?
Because
I have no idea.
They started probing into it, and they're like, well, this is really, really weird. And then they started thinking that it was biological experimentation to create a bioweapon by the military, which is highly illegal. And that's why they were told it was alien DNA.
Yeah, and then they started examining it.
And then it turns out it actually was alien DNA.
So it's a lot of plot that does not matter.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I mean, we thought it was, I guess, it sounds official enough.
Yeah.
It sounds plausible enough, and like, oh yeah, totally illegal.
It's one of those things where it never amounts to anything, like, at all.
Not even a little bit.
So it's just wasted dialogue in this wood panel room, and I am so tired of wood panel rooms.
There's been a lot of
them lately. We find out that our suit is Dr. Villainy. I don't know. It's just like a couple letters off of being Dr. Villain.
Yeah, so when the subtitles showed up and it showed his name, that's what I swear to God I thought it said was Dr. Villain.
And also, I'm positive they spell it like 3 different ways in the subtitles. Because we kept trying to track, like, okay, how the fuck do you spell this name? And for one thing, on Vudu, when you pause the movie, it goes over the subtitles, because that's great.
Yep.
So I couldn't catch that. And then, like, later, the subtitles call Sherry Shelley.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, am I fucking stupid? Like, what the hell happened? Now, have I been calling this character by the wrong name through the entire movie? And then, no, I was right. The subtitles were wrong. So I was like, okay, what else are they wrong about?
Yeah, I don't know, but like, I just couldn't get over the fact that I practically did a spit take when like Dr. Villain popped up.
Yeah, Dr. Villain.
And I guarantee you that's how they derived his name. Like
I think it's vaguely Italian-y, but he doesn't really have an Italian accent, like not even a fakey one.
No.
He's got just a weird implaceable, like, I am European and evil accent.
Yeah.
It's probably the same accent they're going to give Doctor Doom in the Fantastic Four reboot. Okay, so we have a flashback to find out what happened to Michael.
And it is one hell of a slam cut, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, she's talking, and it's like, after I got over the shell shock of this transition, I realized that it was a flashback. She's basically we're seeing her
she's
narration.
narrating to the goons.
She's telling the goons what had happened, and we are seeing it rather than being told. But it's instead of like that,
like any
fade,
sort of transition,
just,
or like even like going to a wall or something like that, and then moving over.
No,
or,
it
smashes.
It smash cuts from her in the office talking to a dancing plant.
A dancing Venus flytrap, yeah.
And that was wild.
Yeah, it's really, really weird. And then, like, we find out that Michael was experimenting with this tissue, grafting it to different animals. The tissue has insane properties where it grows like a cancer on creatures and then begins to mutate them into like alien organisms. And
and we do have some really cool creature designs.
There's some neat monsters in here. There's the dancing plant. There's
Melty Dog.
Melty Dog, yeah.
Checkers.
Poor Melty Dog. A gross fish who is never seen again.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because it looks cool.
Uh-huh.
And then this frog thing.
Yeah, it's like I had the note like oh, there's some really cool creature designs. That green one isn't done yet. Put that one back in the oven for a little bit. Like, it's got like one eye that's like melted, only kind of in this
looks
alien.
So
it's like
icky.
an eye stalk that's melting on one side, but its other side is fine, and it's oh man, but it's a cool looking puppet.
It's a neat puppet. I love that little dude. Like, he's got long froggy legs and then like little stubby froggy legs. And then that one eye stalk, and he's pissed about everything.
Yeah, he's just sitting in there with his like weird underbite going. This thing is unwell.
He looks unwholesome. Like,
this thing is very unwell.
Yeah,
get it a doctor.
No, don't. We have to keep it in the family.
But I did note that the Melty Dog is named Checkers, which is straight up the perfect name for that thing.
It really is. It really is.
I became very endeared to Checkers almost immediately.
And like I think they call the frog Spot at one point or something like that.
I did not catch that.
Like it has it has its own name, and yeah.
But and also another note, like I'm sure you're going to cover this, but like Michael has the frog mutant thing is in one of those like scientific glass boxes.
Yeah, and it's got like the attached gloves. So you can manipulate
so you can manipulate it without touching it.
Right.
And the entire time, Nancy's there, flirting with him, and they're kissing, and
she like surprises him.
Yeah, and like jacking around with him and stuff. Yeah. And he's holding this syringe, but like his hand is like right next to this thing's mouth, and I'm going like, I wouldn't be doing that.
No, that's a bad idea.
This thing looks like it has bitten people before and will again.
Yeah.
And all it has to do is notice that your hand is there.
Yeah.
Like his hand is right there, and the mouth is hand sized. It's like
it's a perfect fit.
and then she like jacks with him, and he stabs it in the eye with the syringe on accident, so it bites his hand.
Yeah.
What the hell did you expect would happen?
It's just really, really like careless science. I don't think these people are actual scientists, man. So yeah, Michael gets bit by the frog. He starts smashing the containment thing around, so it breaks, and Mr. Frog escapes.
Bye, little green.
Yeah, Mr. Frog is going for a wild ride here. And Michael's hand begins to rapidly mutate where it got bit. It looks gross.
Yeah, it's really
gross. It looks
gross.
Fucking nasty.
Yeah, and again, you get that ridiculously good, like, 80s sci-fi prosthetics.
Oh my god,
makeup and stuff.
Yeah.
It looks good. It looks awful, but it looks good.
It looks good in being awful.
Yeah, it's really uncomfortable.
Especially when we find out that Michael's solution to this problem is to have Nancy dump sulfuric acid all over his hand.
I mean,
it doesn't do what sulfuric acid would do to a hand. No. Like, it would take the hand pretty well off.
So that's what I thought he was going to do. It's like, my thought was just like, well, better amputate. He's like, grab the sulfuric acid. And I was like, okay, I guess that'll work. That's not the way I would go.
You got to have a bone saw in there somewhere, man. You're evil scientist. You got one.
But yeah, it's like, I mean, okay, whatever. You know,
Yeah, so-
I won't question the method.
She dumps the sulfuric acid on his hand. It begins bubbling and shooting pus everywhere and just being horrific.
And
But
doing nothing more to him than, like, some peroxide would do.
Yeah,
but-
yeah. And it doesn't stop the mutation at all.
No,
so maybe the mutation is protecting his soft, supple flesh. I don't know.
That's gotta be it.
Nancy calls in Dr. Elliot Stein, and Elliot checks out Michael's hand, which is rapidly mutating and just looks super gross and bubbly.
I have to say, though, I actually really liked Dr. Elliot. He was a super charismatic man.
He's like the best actor in this movie, I think. Like he's
I like him.
very good.
I liked him.
And I liked his bow tie.
Yeah. I did also like that he was, like, super, like, as she was describing what was going on, like, I guess it's supposed to be that, like, not really anybody else in this facility know what's going on. Like, they don't know about this alien DNA.
Yeah.
And Elliot is not in on it. So when she's telling him what happened, he's, like, making fun of her, making Star Trek references. And, like, he does ask, like, have you seen any pods? And my very first reaction was just like he reads it straight. He reads it like, have you seen any pods on him? And it's just like, you were just making fun of her for this, and you're going to ask that? And then later on, like, as soon as I started taking them, I was like, oh, it was probably meant to be
Pod
sarcastic.
Person. Yeah, pod person jokes.
Yeah, and it was a good line reading, and I'm going to have to put that in.
He read it so straight, yeah.
Elliot, don't argue with me. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. The cell's comfortable. I don't have time to stand here and explain this to you. Just help him!
From another planet.
Elliot?
All right. Jesus Christ. Cells from outer space. I had to change my name to Dr. McCoy. Have you noticed any pods?
Elliot?
All right, look, I'm sorry. It's just...
What? Anyway.
Elliot emits, like, this bubbling roar, like, which doesn't sound like it should come from a human body. And Elliot tries to give him a sedative, and he fights against it. But they do get the sedative in him, and he's out, or at least more stable.
Yeah, it calms him down.
Yeah. Dr. Villain comes in and convinces Elliot and Nancy to not take him to a hospital because it would reveal their whole monster
Their whole
factory.
shtick, yeah. I mean, in his defense, I don't think a hospital would know what to do with this either.
And that would actually, like, considering what happens, that would have been so much worse.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this would have been bad if they would have taken him to a hospital. Nancy is convinced that Dr. Villain had it out for Michael for a while because Michael, like, identified a rhinovirus of some kind that, like, can target certain types of cells. Michael wanted to use it to wipe out genetic diseases, and Dr. Villain wanted to use it for weapons and, like, sell it to the Department of Defense and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I zoned out
It doesn't matter at all.
They didn't like each other. That's
They
the
did not
point.
like each other. That's like the whole thing.
It also doesn't matter.
No, it just never. I thought it was going to come into play at some point. Like,
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Like,
No.
I thought this was going to be like, oh, okay, that's what they're going to use Michael's virus, and it's going to target the alien cells and turn him back into a human, or stop him, or whatever. No, it seems like that should have been
Something
the
that
cure for this. Is that disease that Michael had discovered? Like they foreshadowed that so heavily in this scene, and it's never mentioned again.
Nope.
At all.
Nope.
It's very strange. We flash back to flashback where it's been a little bit and Michael's body is mutating further. He's got growths all over his body.
He's got, like, weird sphincters.
Yeah, he's got holes.
Yeah. And they open up one of them, and he's like, I need to take a sample, and he sticks the syringe in the open hole. He's like, hold it open. It's like, it's a syringe. You can go whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Maybe he needs that tissue. I don't know. But
I think he was trying to get, like, a deep tissue sample or something, because,
Maybe.
like, yeah, they use forceps to hold this sphincter open, and...
And then something shoots out of it, and it made me laugh a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so fucking weird. This goopy thing just pops right out of him.
Like a popper. It's just pop!
Yeah.
And they all freak out. And I laughed hard.
Yeah, Elliot captures it in the lab before it can get out of wherever. And it looks neat. It looks like a disembodied mouth.
So it took me forever to figure out how to describe this, and it just hit me. It's as if somebody took a Langolier and pried it all the way open.
That's exactly what this thing is. And apparently it's venomous.
It has what I thought was a little mouth penis that pops out and squirts, but it turns out it was a stinger of some sort.
Yeah, and they mentioned it has like hollow teeth that can distribute the venom. So like once it bites you, you got venom coming from like a million different places, and it's very upset about this.
But then, just like the humble bumblebee,
the humblebee,
as soon as the venom is expelled, the thing rapidly deteriorates and disintegrates.
Yeah,
just like
bumblebee, just like a humble bumble.
Also, when Elliot is trying to grab it, he has the forceps or the tongs or whatever, and he's like running around the room trying to grab it, and it's like chasing a mouse or something, and then finally he just gives up and reaches down and just grabs it with his hand.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I mean, that's not what I get you, but whatever.
We flash forward to the present of the movie.
Current,
whatever. And this is where we get the reveal that the security guard from the opening is Kim and Sherry's dad, meaning that they do have a purpose for being in this movie.
And I already kind of knew that.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Dr. Villain is super condescending to Sherry when she comes to see, like, hey, did my dad check in last night? Like,
what happened to him?
He's fucking gone.
Yeah.
And she just completely brushes her off and makes fun of her for being a computer scientist.
He is such a piece of shit. I hate
He's
Dr.
so gross.
Villain. and honestly, the performance, like, if the performance had been pushed ever so slightly more, he could have been a really fun character to watch.
Yeah.
But he's still just so wooden, and it's just like, no, I don't like you. I don't like
I deal with fuckers like you all the time. I hate you. You're just another old white guy. I hate you. This is where the subtitles told me that Sherry's name is Shelley, and I got very confused briefly. After Sherry leaves the office, the wood panel office, we get this close-up of a gross creature breathing, and it's our first, like, notification that Michael is still in the building.
Okay, yeah.
He didn't, like, leave after busting out of that lab. He's still in the Talos office.
Well, I think the whole idea was that they locked it down. I mean, clearly not very well.
Yeah, I was going to say, how the hell did Sherry get in there?
Yeah, but I don't.
Yeah. Their lockdown procedures are a little lacking, as we'll find out. We go back to the flashback, and like I said, it would have been so much better if this was just a continuous scene instead of cutting back and forth. But we see Michael, like, groaning and writhing in bed. He looks terrible at this point.
Oh, God.
His face is... Is this where his face is completely covered?
I think so. It's his face is pretty much completely covered. Just a gaping mouth of a hole.
Yeah.
Gaping hole of a mouth.
It looks like a Silent Hill thing.
Yeah, his arm is, like, fused to his stomach.
Like, one of them's, like, flailing, and the other is fused, like, right against his chest.
It's clear that the actor's in, like, a bodysuit coated in makeup, but it looks really good.
It looks really good,
cool.
yeah.
It looks cool.
Elliot is taking samples again of Michael. He's wearing a face shield. Good on him.
Yeah, he put that face shield. Like, it was a really good scene, and I loved it. Like, you see him, he's like, okay, how do I do this? And he's about ready to start, and then he stops, and he goes, and he puts on a face shield. And it's like, nice touch. I like that.
Yeah, no, good.
That was good.
Good science, man. But he reaches in to take another sample from Michael's gross body, and Dr. Villain, like, basically comes up behind him and goes, boo.
Yeah.
So Elliot drops the syringe, which falls inside of Michael.
He calls it a probe.
But
yeah, Michael's chest just eats this tool.
Just fucking eats it. Elliot tells us, like, a few of the internal things that are going on with Michael's body. His heart has doubled in size to, like, keep blood pumping through this weird form. His body temperature is off the roof. He's poisonous on the inside, like acidic.
Yeah,
like he's turning into something non-terrestrial.
Right.
he gets the syringe out of Michael's body, and it's all melted and goopy and gross looking and burnt.
Yeah.
So it kind of reinforces like he's got that high temperature, acidic insides, and yeah, it's nasty. Elliot is developing a way to unmutate mutated flesh, and he sciences some science, and I don't understand any of it, and I don't care.
Yeah.
But he's got a ray gun that unmutates flesh.
That's
That's the entire gist of it.
Yeah.
He's got a small ray gun, and they've got a bigger one in the basement that they're testing. Its name is Agnes.
How did you do it?
Elementary, my dear. I'd been noticing strange molecular behavior whenever I exposed samples through the electron microscope. The reaction to negative pulse phasing caused rampant destabilization of the molecular bonding, but only at specific wavelengths. As it turns out, cellular and biological activity is halted for a period of time when electricity is introduced.
We see Nancy, like, checking on Michael. At this point, his face is completely covered in flesh.
He's
like,
so
he
gross.
tears open his mouth so he can scream and vomit.
Oh, it's so gross.
He grows another hand,
Tummy hand.
which grabs Nancy. He starts barfing everywhere, and then whoops a dream.
Yeah, it was just a dream.
Yeah.
She dreamt it.
She dreamt it, which is...
I mean...
kind of insane because that's basically what's happening here, really.
Yeah.
He's not grabbing her and barfing on her. Yeah, we get more sciencey science about the unmutator ray. Nancy wants to use it right away, but Elliot says they can't because they don't have enough juice, but they do have Agnes in the basement. The atomic shotgun, which is way more entertaining than it sounds. Or sounds more entertaining than
I was
it
going to
is.
say, like,
Other way around.
that sounds insane. It's not nearly as insane, but...
And, like, they're just like... This scene goes on and on and on, where they're just describing how this science is supposed to work. And it's another brain static moment. Like, I got nothing on this. Like, it is just... It means nothing.
Particle accelerator...
Atom smasher.
Atom smashing, magnetism...
Yeah, but this magnet doesn't work, but that one will because it's a bigger magnet.
Electromagnetics.
It means nothing.
It means he can be saved.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. Michael starts having like a seizure and like screaming.
Yeah,
and the other mutants that are still in this room that they haven't like put in an incinerator react to him having the seizure, and they begin screaming, and
the machines are going nuts. There's the PA system warning everybody in the room
needs to evacuate.
Yeah, his heart rate is going off the charts, and then it shows Elliot's just asleep.
Yeah, Elliot's asleep, and Nancy is spacing out.
Nancy is just off on her own, and it's just like, wow, you two are terrible doctors.
They are so bad at this.
That equipment is there to tell you when things are going wrong.
Yeah.
Things are going wrong.
Yeah, like...
You should be trained to respond to that, not ignore it and tone it out.
Michael's heart monitor is, like, going crazy.
Yeah, it's about to explode. Pay attention, please.
Yeah. Michael tears away from his restraints, and like a bunch of tendrils grow out of his chest and start flailing everywhere.
Very the Thing-like.
Yeah, very, very, very.
Very the Thing-like.
Yeah. And then he flatlines, and it's like, oh dang, Michael dead.
Oh no.
Oh
man.
Oh man, Michael
movie's
dead.
Gonna over, I guess.
Yeah, but then his chest hatches open like a fucking egg.
Yeah.
And we get that weird wormy head thing.
The worm head just kind of grows
whoop,
out of it.
Right out of his chest.
Yeah, it's a really cool effect.
One of the tendrils spears Elliot and tosses him across the room, and we're at the start of the movie now.
Yep.
We've caught up to the present.
Yep.
More or less.
And we get a scene where the goons are, like, she's wrapping up with the goons.
Yeah.
And one of them wants to know what it looks like. What does this thing look like? And she argues, she's like, well, it doesn't matter what it looks like. You know, the implication being, like, if you see it, you'll know it.
Yeah,
like, you don't need a description. But she says, like, it doesn't matter what it looks like. And I was like, see, that's where you're wrong.
Yeah, it matters.
Because if this
very
thing
much.
didn't look good, I would be turning the movie off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it very much matters what this thing looks like.
Yeah.
Because it looks cool, and that's your saving grace of your movie.
Yeah. We cut back to Sherry, Kim, and Brian, and her dad left them a message on the answering machine.
Yeah, and Brian proves how bad of a boyfriend he is.
Oh, he's so shitty.
As he's like, Sherry is freaking out. She's like, this is unlike my dad. There's something wrong. And he's just like, you're hysterical. You're being irrational. And it's just like...
Yeah, your dad's okay. I mean, they wouldn't kidnap him.
Yeah, maybe it's because I've been married for 15 years. But it's like... you're supposed to support your
right
your significant
especially
other.
when something's happened to her like only remaining parent.
Yeah, or I mean, but in anything, it's like,
Well, yeah,
you're supposed to support them. You're supposed to be there for them, not be the devil's advocate constantly.
Yeah.
in a time of potential crisis.
For a place called the Talos Corporation.
Yeah, like, come on, dude. Like, Sherry, what do you see in this nerd?
I don't know. Like,
maybe he bumps into you just in the right way. This
Like,
action figure slams into you
yeah,
and gets you off.
goddamn.
I don't know, but
God damn, this dude sucks. I hate this.
I hate this kid.
I don't like any of the teens in this movie,
They're bad.
but Brian is just so fucking bad.
He's such an awful person.
Okay. So we have this answering machine message that, like, Sherry's dad forgot his pass, so he was using someone else's pass on that particular day. It doesn't matter.
Well, that one does kind of, because that gives her the pass to get in.
Yeah, I guess.
But you do also have this part where it's like she's checking the answering machine, which they just got.
Yeah.
And the first one is an undeleted message of some woman inviting her dad for drinks. And then the next message is their dad explaining, oh yeah, drinks happened, I'm going to work, but I forgot my pass. And it's just like, this was pointless.
Yeah.
This was all
It's
very
so
pointless.
So the three kids go to rescue their dad. Sherry and Brian try to convince Kim to not,
Yeah,
because
'cause Kim wants to go because
adventure
or something.
Yeah, basically that's all it is like she feels the call to adventure at this point. She is a D&D party member. She is ready for this shit.
She'd be a fun D&D party member.
She really
just
would.
like the 80s.
Yeah. I think I have my next character.
There you go, Chris. I'm surprised it hasn't happened already.
I know, right? Fucking whatever.
But yeah, they she wants
I started checking out a little bit during this part.
Yeah. She wants to go. Kim wants to go,
And
but
Sherry and
will
Brian
not let her.
Yeah.
But we know where we know where this is going.
Yeah, Dr. Villain has a meeting with his goons. He wants Michael destroyed because he's a threat. And Nancy, if she won't stop causing a fuss.
Yep.
Smash to ads again. Just catapult to those fucking ads. Dr. Villain's goons leave to go hunt Michael. We get some absolutely stellar line reads from Mr. Bryan at this point.
What are you talking about? Don't you think you're being a little ridiculous? Sherry, this is absurd. Calm down. Do you hear what you're saying? They don't do experiments on people. Sherry, stop it. You're gonna scare Kim. Sherry.
Here, put this on.
For what? Do you think we're gonna get in just because of these white coats?
No, because of this.
I can't believe we're doing this.
I mean, if our relationship means that little to you.
All right. Let's go. Let's do it. My God, he's enormous. This is it. We're dead.
What if he asked you for real ID? Then what would you have done?
Relax, we made it through, didn't we? That guy was so stupid he probably... Ah! Jesus Christ, what the hell is that?
Terrible, just fucking terrible. I hate Brian.
I'm just gonna have like
do a mini supercut of Brian's fucking
bad
line
lines.
reads. Yeah.
Okay, I'll endeavor to do that.
Yeah. Brian and Sherry pull up to the Talos Corporation, and like as soon as they exit the car, Kim manifests in the back seat, just like sitting up, like, well then, they were a bunch of losers. Don't you think so, audience? And then we have Sherry and Brian sneaking into Talos using a couple of lab coats that their dad had. I don't know why their dad has lab coats. He's a security guard. But he's got them. Maybe he likes playing dress up. Maybe... I don't know.
We don't know what his thing is.
Yeah. And, like, they use his pass to get in. The security guard who's there instead of their dad is getting paid, like, sub-minimum wage and doesn't give a single shit about what's going on.
I don't know. If I was getting... Shit, even if I was getting paid at minimum wage, I would not stand up and be like, stop. No, I'd be like, hey, you forgot to... Okay, bye.
Yeah. Well, he's got to get that signature or he's going to get written up.
Okay, well, yeah, but...
So, that's important, is getting the signature that they didn't write anything. They just blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I would have forged it.
Yeah. And he didn't even check. He's like, okay, cool. Get out of here.
Get out of here.
You're
Yeah.
obviously, like, 19, whatever.
The security guard.
Yeah.
These scientists are younger and younger these days. I don't get paid enough of this shit. And then he sits back down.
Yeah. He goes back to watching, like, I think it's a boxing match or something like that.
No,
Whatever.
No, the subtitles felt it very important that I knew what was going on the TV, so I was
Okay.
paying very close attention. But then when I realized that it didn't matter, I stopped paying attention because I realized I was far more invested in what was going on there than I was in the movie.
I was checking, like, the trivia section on IMDb because that's what I do.
Yeah.
And apparently, if you watch to the end of the credits, there's a subtitle that pops up that says, I don't get paid enough for this. And it's a direct message from the subtitler, which is why there's so many mistakes. They did not give a single shit. They cared less than the security guard.
That's funny.
Yeah. We cut back to the goons. One of the goons gets bit by Melty Dog, Checkers, and he oozes the absolute fuck out of it. Like, he pulls out that Uzi and just goes to town.
I know. Don't shoot Checkers, you monster. And then he just shoots Checkers.
Yeah, he shoots Checkers a lot. Puts an entire clip into it.
R.I.P. Checkers.
Yeah, and that's all we see of Checkers.
Wow.
More or less.
That's all we see of live Checkers.
Yeah. We have a scene of Kim sneaking into Talos.
She puts her coat.
She puts her coat on
She
the banister.
puts her coat on the banister outside on the rail, and the security guard's like, "Well, I apparently am paid enough to get up."
God damn it! I'm gonna have to deal with that either sooner or later.
That's a nice coat. Yeah, that's a nice leather jacket. He goes out there to check on it.
Looks like an '80s girl dropped this.
Yeah, and he goes out to check it, and Kim is just like, whoop, she swoops in and locks him out. He's just like,
He's just like, well, I guess I'm out here now.
I love the scene later on when Dr. Villain shows up,
yeah,
and he's like, "What are you doing out here?" And the security guard's just like, "Well." He's like,
funny story.
Yeah, he's like, Dr. Villain's like, I don't care. The security guard just gotta.
Well, I don't care either.
Like,
So there we go.
Okay, yeah,
we're
I
even.
guess. He's like, I'm gonna get my ass chewed out for this. No explanation.
Man, I got that signature and everything, and now I'm getting my ass creamed for this. It's cold out here.
This jacket doesn't fit me at all.
Yeah, it's made for a tiny 80s child.
Made for
Not me.
Made for a
security guard hunk. Oh. So, yeah. Brian wipes out in some goo. Gets it all over his hands.
Yeah.
And then we have a unnecessarily long scene of Brian washing his hands at the water cooler.
The thing is, though, when that is happening, I was thinking of, like, if I was Brian,
yeah,
I'd be doing that too.
Oh yeah, I know, but the scene is so long.
Yeah, it does show. Yeah, and it's shot from down the hall. So
yeah,
it's not even a very particularly interesting scene.
No, it's just
stops.
You see him washing his hands, and then he leaves, and
that's it.
That's the scene. But then we get the most amazing scene in the movie. And I definitely want you to put in a cut of the music that happens during this scene. Because it's the scene where the frog mutant hops around a corner and it gets a sexy music sting. And it is phenomenal. Like, I was like, all right, Mr. Frog's coming back to do something, and then he's gone.
Yeah. He's stop motion now, though.
He's stop motion now, and he looks really good.
Yeah, he does.
But it's just like, holy shit. It's just this womp, womp, wow, as the frog hops around the corner. And I am happy. Brian and Sherry are in Dr. Villain's office. Brian trips over a chair because that's what he fucking does.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, he's just a turd of a human. And we have determined that Sherry is a hacker. We are told this information.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, because computer scientists can do all of the hacking, and yeah.
Yep. She's a hacker.
Yeah, she knows the system. It's Linux.
Damn it. Okay.
No, it's not Linux. It predates Linux by quite a bit.
This is DOS.
This isn't even DOS, my man. This is some fucked up internal shit.
Okay.
So while Sherry is doing her hickety hacks, we have scenes of Kim wandering around by herself, getting spooked by the fact that this place is totally abandoned. Sherry continues to hack while Brian just junks up the office.
Brian plays with things he shouldn't be playing with.
Just junks this place completely up. Little piece of shit. God, I hate him. Sherry finds the information about her dad, determines that, oh shit, he was there last night. Like, who could have guessed?
Yep, she was right.
And then they get jumped by the goon squad.
Yeah. And
this is fucking violent.
This is so... Okay.
It's over the top violent,
so
but...
goon number one, like...
backhand Sherry.
Rears back and backhand Sherry. It's not a great scene.
No.
But then Brian jumps to her rescue and decks the other guy.
Brian just lunges from off scene and cold cocks this fucking goon.
But my favorite thing is he clocks the wrong guy.
Yeah.
It's just like, technically that guy didn't do anything yet.
He starts doing something though because he fucking goes ham on Brian's body.
Yeah, they're pretty pissed at Brian. I mean,
I
would
am
be too.
It's just hysterical because it's one of those scenes where it goes on way too long of just these dudes hitting Brian in like the face and the gut off camera.
Yeah.
Like they're just punching the ground.
Yeah.
But Brian's actor is making noises off scene.
Yeah, like the
and
last
it's
like,
great.
number one is about to leave and he turns around and he runs up and kicks and you hear Brian go, ow!
Yeah. It's really funny.
It's great.
I like this movie.
It's another one of those, the more we talk about it,
Yeah.
the better it gets.
But then we cut back to more wandering with Kim. She finds Checkers.
Poor Checkers.
And runs into one of the goons. I don't know which one. I can't remember. They're interchangeable.
It was the white guy.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, with goon number 2.
The one who lasts longer.
He's bad at his job because like she runs past him and he's just it's like a cartoon-esque. Like she runs past him and he stops and he goes, "Wait, what?" And he turns around. And
she runs right into him. It's really funny. She runs into the creature, and we finally see like a full view of Michael's final transformation.
It looks cool.
It looks super cool. It's got that big wormy head. It's got the like 4 tendrils in its like chest area.
It's got
two big legs.
It's like, well, I think it's quadrupedal.
Is it quadrupedal? I thought it was bipedal.
I don't know because it's pretty big. And,
yeah,
but I think it's quadrupedal, but it's only got but you only see 2 of the legs, but one leg is significantly larger than the other.
Right.
The other one's
got
lumpy
lumpy leg.
It's cool looking.
It's very neat looking, especially since like it's done through a mix of like costuming and miniatures and stop motion
and animatronics.
Yeah, like it is really cool.
It looks cool. It looks good.
Like I was surprised that the stop motion, like the claymation animation, looked as good as it did.
I know
it looks amazing.
It's really good.
Like there's a couple scenes where they use that effect for when it grabs people and like thrashes them around and stuff like that, and it looks really good. Like, I
mean, you can tell it's stop motion.
Oh yeah, you can tell,
but it's convincing. It
very
looks
much
really
is.
cool. I love it.
They did
it's
a
very
great job
entertaining
with
to
that.
watch. It's pleasant to watch.
Yeah,
despite how gross the monsters are.
Yeah. So the super rad monster kills the goon. We think.
Well, it totally kills the goon.
Totally kills the goon.
Then it also totally kills Brian.
Yeah.
Like, it has the goon in its mouth, like, thrashing around, and then it kills Brian.
No, it has not killed Brian yet.
Oh. Well, eventually kills Brian.
Yeah, it will. Don't worry.
Kill Brian already.
It's going to kill Brian in, like, 2 scenes, man. Don't worry. We're getting there. But Kim runs into Nancy. We have some more amazing line reads. It goes on.
What are you doing here? Let go! It's all right. I'm not going to hurt you. Just calm down. It's all right. Just tell me who you are and what you're doing here.
I'm looking for my father.
Your father? You're John Griffin's daughter.
That's right. And what have you done with my father, you bitch? It was this huge, like, really gross, I don't know what. It ate some guy.
Sherry encounters the second goon and kicks him in either the gut or the nuts. I couldn't tell.
It was hard to tell.
Yeah, but just...
She kicks him.
She kicks him, and he is staggered for a moment and then slaps her again.
Oh, he slaps the shit out of her. Oh, my God.
Like, this is one of those ones where it's like, did he actually hit her?
he goes to town.
Yeah,
It's one of those where there's definitely some insensitivities going on here,
right?
Both racially and with
definitely,
gender.
definitely. There's some,
but I am not savvy enough to comment on those.
Yeah,
all I know is I don't like this.
Yeah. But then Brian flies from off camera and hits him again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Brian has to save her.
Brian has to save her. Kim and Nancy retreat to a lab and lock themselves in. Brian and the goon have a fight scene that goes on for a little bit, and then the creature eats the goon, yay creature, and impales Brian, killing him.
Yep.
Yay creature.
Yay creature. Go.
Yep.
Go. Was it Michael? Go Michael.
Go Michael. Nancy goes to still try and figure out what happened to their dad, while Kim faffs about in the lab some. Because apparently she's a hacker. But then there's a rat on the keyboard, Matt.
Oh my god, she is so afraid of this lab rat.
At this point, she's seen Melty Dog, dead Melty Dog, and she's seen Michael. So it's
no.
The rat
she is more afraid of this rat than she is of the monster because she leaves the safety of this room to get away from the rat.
Right, and she crashes right into Sherry and the monster. This is when Dr. Villain arrives in his limo and yells at the security guard. The creature traps Sherry and Kim in the lab. Sherry grabs another jar of acid and prepares to smash it on Michael, but Michael blobs her and then impales her.
So it fires. One of the things it does is it fires off those little
now it can just do that.
Yeah, it just fires them off.
Yeah.
The venom part doesn't really come into play at all.
No, it does not.
I mean, these characters are all getting hit by these things, and they don't. I mean, other than the blood and the apparent instant pain, they don't seem too bothered by them.
It's really weird. It's really weird. Kim grabs the acid and hucks the jar at the creature, burning it a bit and causing it to drop Sherry, and then it grabs Sherry again. So that was pointless.
Yeah.
Dr. Villain shows up and shoots the monster.
Yeah.
So yay, Dr. Villain. But then it grabs him by the dick.
Yeah, it does.
Just straight up grabs him by the dick.
Yeah, that's a tentacle to the dick.
Yep, and then it impales him, shoots a blob at him, so it gets Dr. Villain gets all of the attacks from this guy.
He gets... this thing rolled really well on his attacks against...
Yeah. It impales Nancy and totally looks like it kills her. Straight up looks like it kills her, but doesn't?
There's a theme here.
Yeah. But then I get it, grabs her... It kills her in a little bit. That's when we get the stop motion, thrashing and throwing her around. And
yeah. Well, but before that, you get Kim and Sherry, run out in the hallway.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Villain's head just flies out, hits the wall.
Fucking flies at her.
And it again made me laugh very hard.
Yeah. And then we find out that the goon survived.
Goon number 2 is alive, somehow.
Even though last time we saw him, he was halfway down Michael's gullet.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
And the goon, basically... dragoons Sherry and Kim into service, telling him that they're going to help him kill the monster.
Yeah, suddenly he becomes the hero.
Yeah, it's weird and I hate
this
it.
This is the guy who didn't hit Sherry, so
Right.
I guess that's plausible.
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know.
But this is where we get the stop motion killing of Nancy, and it looks very good.
Yeah, it does.
It begins launching blobs at the goon, and he is way more nimble than he looks apparently, because he just dodges around him.
He's learned its movements.
Yeah, he knows it. Kim and Sherry run to another sector, but Sherry has lost her pass.
Well, before this, I had the note here that, the goon tells them, the building is in lockdown. We can't leave.
Right.
You can't, we have to defeat this thing. We cannot leave. Physically cannot leave. And yet Kim just keeps going on and on and on about, I'm just going to go home.
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave.
I'm going to go home.
Are you not listening? You physically cannot.
It's a weird sort of lockdown where people can enter the building,
but
no one can leave. It's a roach hotel.
Yeah,
you could go, you can check in, but you can't leave.
No. But then they end up going to
the other sector, whatever the hell it is.
They get to this door.
Sherry's lost her pass. She goes to grab. She's like, "Oh, I gotta go get it," and she runs 3 feet and then bumps into the goon.
Yeah, who's like, "What the hell are you doing?
What are you doing? It's over there, idiot!"
And then he gets there, and he's lost his
pass. And she's like, "Do you have a pass?" And she's like, "No, I don't have a pass. I was gonna go get it, and then you stop me." And then there's a monster in the hallway.
There's also a brief scene where he's shooting down an empty hallway, and I'm pretty sure they were supposed to put the monster there, but they didn't.
So. I think so. Ooh, but it's not a goof. There's only the one.
No, touche.
Yeah. So whatever, that was totally on purpose.
Yeah, he was
because it
just-
was not a camera being viewed in a coffee cup. It was
these were warning
intentional. They were warning shots of that monster. Stay back, Michael. I know guns have done nothing to you other than maybe startle you, but
Yeah, those
I'm warning you.
Those few shots of my limited ammunition reserves,
yeah.
could have hurt you. Anyway,
Yeah.
So the door's locked. They're
door's
back to a
locked.
corner. They got no keys. The
got no
monster's
keys.
coming. What are they gonna do, Chris?
Well, Sherry pops open the door lock and hotwires it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sure.
So that's how you open a door.
She's a hacker.
She's a hacker. She can open doors.
She's a hacker and can hotwire doors.
Yeah. So they retreat to the other science machine, Agnes, the atomic shotgun. I don't get it. And they are in Agnes's control room, and then they have a brief study session because you have to have a study break in the middle of this.
They don't know how to operate it because
to
none of
find out
them
how
are
to do the
scientists.
science. Yeah,
Fortunately, because Sherry is a hacker,
she picks it up real quick.
she's able to puzzle this
Yeah.
together. I mean, it can't be that hard. It's just quantum physics.
Right. There's some science that happens, and Sherry prepares to science at the monster using the goon as bait. So the goon goes out there and is like, "Hey, monster, come eat me."
Yeah.
And tries to lure it into the range of the science.
Uh-huh.
Because science has limited range, as we all know.
Yeah, obviously.
But the goon forgets something very important, and it's that this thing has ranged attacks.
Yeah.
As it tendrils him, and then, starts to pull him towards it, but then the goon, turns the tables on Michael and begins to pull him towards... It's dumb.
I got... Sure.
The goon clobbers him with a pipe.
That's right. That's what works.
It works, I guess. He doesn't seem to care too much. But then the science happens.
Yeah, they science all up on that
They
thing.
science all of the bad cells out of Michael. And
he turns into a perfectly normal, regular,
Naked
back-to-human,
Michael, yeah.
naked Michael.
Yep, and he plops on the floor.
Who looks better than he did before he got bit.
Yep. It's true.
It scienced all of the bad things away.
It scienced everything bad out of him away. Kim, Sherry, and the goon go down there, and the goon is like, "Aha! Now I will kill Michael and you too, because I'm a dick."
Yeah, because he's the cleanup crew.
Yeah, and he's got to call them a bitch a few more times and just be generally awful.
And he has to taunt and monologue a little bit.
Yeah.
And just kind of rub it into Michael's face that he's about to kill him.
Yeah. Instead of just doing the damn thing.
Uh-huh.
But then Michael gives him an insane rictus grin.
Oh my god.
As his head turns into a prosthetic.
Yeah.
And opens the fuck up. And then a smaller version of the wormy head pops out.
Out of Michael's Pac-Man head.
Yeah. And he fully mutates back into a larger version of the creature.
Yeah, this thing's twice as big.
Yeah, it's fucking huge. So Sherry and Kim run back to the control room.
Because the science didn't work.
The science didn't work!
It not only pissed it off, but made it bigger.
It supercharged him.
It reverse science?
I don't know. I don't understand science, man. So they prepare to zap him again. Michael bites the science zapper. And Sherry lowers the thing on top of him, pinning him against the floor.
Uh-huh.
I think magnets are involved. I don't understand.
It's pinned by science.
Yeah, that's basically what happens. So they keep him pinned to the floor until the science has enough science juice to science. This time, instead of unmutating him, the creature's head fucking explodes. It bubbles and pulses a few times, and you're thinking, "Oh, it's going to do another mutation, or something's going to happen, or it's going to turn back into Michael." Instead, it vanishes. It leaves.
It's just gone.
It's just gone.
You can almost hear the pop sound effect.
You can hear the budget running out. So Kim and Sherry are like, "Wow, that was sure a rollicking adventure that we were on," and they go to leave the Taylor's facility. And then we get the biggest disappointment in this movie, because Brian isn't dead.
Brian lives. He's just there.
Which is just, Jesus Christ.
So at this point, I was wondering, I was just like, well, you have these characters who've been bitten by this thing and have survived.
Right.
It's like, well, that's how this all started, so maybe...
was it just the frog that was infectious? Because if it is, I got news for you, friend.
Yeah, because I was wondering, what happened to Little Green?
Oh, we see him.
There he is!
There he is, and he's mutated further. He's got
got a bunch of arms.
He's looking pretty cool, honestly.
Yeah.
Looks really neat. He shouts at our 3 protagonists, let's call them. And then ducks into the ceiling of the Talos facility.
Yep.
Where he goes fucking huge.
Yeah, he grows big, bursts out of the roof, and that's our sequel, mate.
And that's where the movie ends, is with fucking Frogzilla out of the ruins of the Talos facility and roaring. Yep. And then it just smashes to credits.
Yep.
Which is wild.
Yep.
That is an insane end for a movie.
So, yeah. What a ride this movie was.
This was a lot, my dude. Like, yeah, I can't say I didn't like it. I can't say that I did like it. I liked parts of it, and I hated a lot of parts of it.
Yeah.
There's a kind of a neat 80s guitar song that goes over the credits that was recorded for the movie.
Oh, really?
That, like, Baby You've Changed or something. Yeah, Baby You've Changed. And I guess it's done by one of the production crew. I don't know which one.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's kind of a neat song. It's not on Spotify. I checked.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah. The credits are kind of interesting in that there's a lot of, like, the director gives a lot of credit to people who inspired him rather than people who worked on the movie.
That's a choice.
I mean, it's very interesting. And, like, there's a big credit where Ray Harryhausen is thanked.
I mean, I could see that.
Yeah, there's a lot of Harryhausen influence, especially in the stop motion stuff.
Yeah, no.
And he's like, yeah, thanks, Ray Harryhausen, who, like, codified this genre as a thing.
Yeah, I mean,
we owe him a lot.
Sure.
And that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I love that he did that. Like,
yeah, sure.
Director seems cool.
Yeah.
And he's like not well known enough to have done anything publicly bad. So,
yay?
Yeah. So that was Metamorphosis: The Alien Factor. Holy shit, what a movie! Yep.
All right, so
yeah, we're gonna smash to our own music here.
we're gonna cut over not our music, but
no, it's my music.
Okay, that's Chris. But yeah, we're gonna head over to the crunch. We'll see what Chris has mutated this thing into, and we'll see you in a moment.
Yep.
We dance tonight on some mutant boogie. This is Weirdos Atomic Bible. Nuclear infected, we are rocking our bones. Monster, mutant, whole lot of shaking going on.
All right, so welcome back, Chris. You had I assume fun with this thing.
It was interesting. Like, I had problems kind of designing it to start with, then until I kind of got on a roll with it. But it's very, like, in the movie, Michael does a lot of different things, but he doesn't do any of them well enough, really. Like, there's quite a few characters in this movie. Michael's body count's pretty low.
Yeah, now that
like
you mention it,
a lot of the people
3, 4, 5, 6, maybe.
Yeah, but a lot of the people he originally attacks survive their encounter, and then he gets them later.
Yeah,
but and then, like, he just apparently goes to town on our 3 protagonists, and they're fine by the end of it.
Yeah.
So
their shirts are red.
Yeah, the shirts are very red. So what I kind of did is I designed him like how he should have been operating.
I think that's fair.
Instead of making kind of like a jokey monster where it's like, oh, it's got a ton of HP, but none of its attacks do any damage. They just look scary.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. That's something more for the kibbles,
yeah.
I think. So.
And we got enough stuff in this movie for the kibbles anyway. There's a lot of different weirdo
There's a lot
monsters,
of stuff we can do here.
So, yeah.
So no, I'm glad you did that. I think that seeing the monster for the vision or the potential that it was supposed to have, as opposed to what was presented in the movie, is a good rule break from our
Yeah, I think so
do
in
what's
this
in
case.
the movie. So
Yeah.
So Chris, what do we got here?
We have the Unearthly Shambler.
I like that.
I like that name, yes.
That's a good name.
Natural armor of 16, 123 hit points.
He's a beefy boy.
Very beefy. Very slow, though. 20 feet. We don't see this guy move quick.
No, he kind of just shuffles around.
Yeah, he's a shambler.
Yep.
For his stats, got decent physical stats and lower of the mental facilities because...
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, he's just kind of a beast at this. And for his skills, he's just got a perception of 1, but he's got damage resistances to poison, and then non-magical bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing.
Makes sense.
Because he generates poison, so he's going to be resistant to that, because otherwise we run into the same problems we've had in the past. And we see people whack him with stuff and shoot him, and it doesn't really do anything.
He doesn't seem to care.
So, yeah.
That makes sense.
He does have a vulnerability to radiant damage.
Is that your analog for science?
Yes! That, and like they do like it's said that this is a radiation at the end of it. They are irradiating this guy with science.
Yeah.
And...
Okay.
He vanishes because of it. So
sure.
He's got a weakness to radiant damage.
All right, yeah. I'll take it.
He's also got an immunity to being poisoned.
Sure,
makes
sense.
Only sense is blind sight of 60 feet. This thing has no apparent eyes.
So no, it does.
It does, really.
It does,
I didn't see them.
The mouth part. So it looks. How to describe this without using the word penis?
Oh no.
So you've got the mouth part. And then it kind of goes into this, like, fleshy hood that wraps around, and that's where the head is. And there's these 2 black beady eyes on either side of that, right, like, where the hood, like, right underneath, well, not even underneath, but right in front of the
I didn't twig that those were eyes.
That's what I communicate. That's what they communicated to me. But, but
I'm still going to keep him with the blind sight.
Well, that makes sense.
Reason
the
not
question I have is he blind beyond this radius?
I don't know. What do you think?
We don't really get to see anything in the movie to indicate that he clearly can see because blind sense makes sense. Blind sight makes sense because he can perceive because he moves around and he chases down our protagonists. Right. But like the entire scene, all of the movie is in close quarters, so we don't really get to see any kind of indication as to larger scope than that.
Right.
So I think honestly you could go either way and be fine.
I'll just leave it as it is, and if a GM wants to run this critter and do it differently, I think that's fine.
That's fair.
Okay, this guy is a challenge rating 7, which I think is a decent place for him to be.
I agree. He's one of the beefier things, and that's one of the things that I was noticing about this movie, because it's in Creature Crunch as a conceptual whole. I realized that with our criteria of we see in the movie, usually the protagonists... We do what we see in the movie. Yeah. Well, yeah, and we usually see the movie portray the protagonists having to overcome the monster, and they usually, there's exceptions for sure, but they, for the most part, do. Yeah. And a lot of times beat the monster, and our rationale that these are normal human beings and not adventurers, that would drive a lot of these challenge ratings down. Exactly. So having higher challenge rating creatures does seem a little bit more rare to me. And I had that in mind while watching this, and almost nothing that these people do to this thing stops it. Yeah. There's a MacGuffin.
Yeah, they've got to use some sort of external thing to stop it.
Right. And so it's like, no, this thing, and even that doesn't
it doesn't initially work. It just, we don't know where this thing goes at the end of this.
Yeah, we don't know what happens to it, because it looks like it's about to mutate again.
Yeah.
So I think
the budget ran out.
So I think that having that higher challenge rating absolutely makes sense, and I am here for it.
Yeah. So we love us some big boys.
Yes, we do. Well, yeah, very much so.
Yeah. The only ability this thing has is what I call polymorphic stability. And that's based solely on the fact that when they try to force it back into Michael's shape, it doesn't take.
Okay, I get that. Okay, yeah. Okay.
What this does is the Unearthly Shambler has advantage on saving throws made to prevent it from changing its shape. So if somebody casts Polymorph on it or something like that, where it has to make a saving throw to keep from changing its shape, it has that advantage.
I like that. That's a nice touch.
It's one of those things where that's probably never going to come up.
It's very rare.
But if it does, there you go.
It's very rare, but it's enough flavor onto this thing. And what I also find interesting is, Chris, that's it. That seems to be the only trait that you gave it.
Yeah. The rest
So-
of the stuff it does, I did through its attacks, because it has a lot of different attacks. Mm-hmm. But other than that, it's just kind of a big chunk. Like, it stomps around, it's slow, and if you have any ideas for other stuff it could do, I would totally be here for it.
I do have one note, but
Okay.
we're going to cover that here in half a second.
All right. So should I just go right into the actions?
Go on into
Okay.
the actions.
First, it has multi-attack, where it can make 2 of its tendril attacks. Its tendril attacks are melee weapons, 10-foot reach, 1 target each. On a hit, they do 2d6 plus 5 piercing. If it hits, creature has to succeed on a DC 14 strength saving throw. On a failure, creature is grappled and pulled 10 feet towards the Unearthly Shambler.
All right.
It's also got its bite attack, where it is a +8 to hit, 1 target, 3d8 plus 5 piercing.
Which is not insubstantial.
No, that's a chunk of damage.
Yep.
So you can see what this thing is trying to do.
Yeah.
And then it's also got a 3rd attack where it shoots at the polyps. I like saying the word polyps. They're bad, but I like saying the word. It's a fun word that we borrowed from Latin. Ranged attack, +5 to hit, 1 target, range 40 feet. On a hit, it does 1d6 plus 2 piercing damage and 1d6 poison damage.
Sure. These things are
if the
supposed
target-
to poison.
Yep. If the target is a creature, it has to succeed on a DC 14 Constitution saving throw. On a failure, creature is poisoned for 1 minute.
Now, does the creature get to redo the saving throw at the end of each of its turns? Or is
No.
it, so it is just a straight up...
It's poison.
You're poisoned for a minute.
Yep.
All right. Now, the note that I have here
Yeah.
is for a challenge rating 7 creature, only being able to do 2 tendril attacks or a polyp or a bite seems a little low. If I were you, especially since in the movie we see tendrils going everywhere and polyps shooting everywhere,
Do you think you would...
I would do multi-attack. It makes 2 tendril attacks and a polyp attack.
And a polyp attack?
Yep.
I am fine with that.
I think that is probably where it needs to be. I had that thought while reading through it, and I think that you helped fix it here in a second with this next thing.
Yeah.
But I do think that it needs that little extra push.
Yeah.
Especially since it's so slow.
I get that. No, I
Yeah.
I am perfectly fine with that. I thought I might have lowballed this guy a little bit in a couple areas, but
His
I think
damage,
that-
the damage output on the tendrils seemed low to me, and the polyps especially. The poison effect is kind of drastic. And the bite makes up for it. So
Right.
I think, but again, you were saying, the tendrils and the polyps seem to be more of an inconvenience to the characters than anything else.
Yeah,
So
he wants to get
I'm
in
with
for
it.
that bite.
Yeah,
like
I'm with
those giant ass jaws. Like they're there for a reason.
Yep.
They're not just because it looks good. But then our boy here has legendary actions.
And I think this is what really sets him apart and
Yeah.
offsets the low damage output.
Yeah.
For a challenge rating 7.
So he can take 3 legendary actions. They function just like legendary actions do. Don't need to go into that. He can make a tendril attack, a polyp attack, or a bite attack.
And the bite specifically says that it
Has to do it on a creature that's grappled.
That it is grappling.
Yep.
So,
So like this guy's operation is very simple. Like he wants to tendril those. He wants to polyp them so that they're weakened.
easier to
Yep.
get.
He wants to tendril them, pull them in, and then start chomping on them. Like,
And that.
and if he
tracks.
wants to, he can do that on multiple guys.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that's pretty, like you were saying, he's not overly flashy.
No.
I think he's neat, though.
Yeah, he's a chunk that will inconvenience. He's got a very definitive, like, hunting habit. He's got enough resistances that he's going to be a problem for some players if they don't have magical stuff. He does have a weakness if they can riddle that out. Yep.
I dig him. I like him. I like what you
Yeah.
came up with.
All right.
And
Go me.
I would use this guy.
That's what I'm afraid of.
So yeah, pick for next week.
Yeah, it's your week, man.
We have our 3rd request.
Oh no.
This is not no moment.
Okay.
The request is for one of my all-time favorite movies. We are going to be doing the first Tremors movie.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So I could talk a lot about that one. I will talk a lot about that one. I will
I'm kind of glad you're doing that one.
Yeah, I will save that one for next time. But yeah, so that's what we're going to be covering in a couple weeks. Tremors. Thank you so much for listening.
Heck yeah.
We really appreciate it, as always. We have a lot of fun doing these, and I hope they're fun to listen to. Check out our Patreon, Creature Crunch on Patreon, where you can you can find our stat blocks for some of these bonus monsters, including John Voight's performance in Anaconda, as well as a semi-truck.
Yep. Hey kid, you want to punch a truck?
So yeah, we really do appreciate that. Toss a few bucks our way. Make us all worth it. It's all worth it. Who am I kidding? It's all
We're having
worth
fun
it.
here.
I am having a lot of fun. So yeah, you can also send requests if you'd like us to cover a specific movie, or if you want to share with us some cool monsters to have us find another movie or whatever. Reach out to us at Creature Crunch on Twitter, or email us at creaturecrunchpodcast@gmail.com.
Yep.
And if you want to get a hold of us individually, Chris, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at the Library C. That's CEE.
And you can get a hold of me at Twitter. I am at Danny_Hamsteak. So we'll see you in a couple weeks with some underground screamy worms.
Don't get eaten by a giant frog.